Alrighty, so we're gonna do a bit of a two for one today. Not only I'm going to do the review of last night's game, as I wasn't able to do the review of last night's game right after the game was finished because it was relatively late and I want to get to bed early since I was a bit tired. But today I'm also going to do the news of the week episode after looking at both of these games because let's be honest, there's really not much I need to talk about both of these games. It's probably going to be like a 15-minute review of both of these games, and then of course we'll talk about the news of the week episode, and that include we saw a head coach that got end up in the chopping block and potentially hiring straight away after that as well. But let's begin by talking about these two games that are pretty much makeup game for the midweek action. Both Inter Miami and LAFC they had to make up some of their games because they were still participating in the FIFA Club World Cup. But in this game between New England versus Inter Miami, this feels like it's a classic game of what happened when a team faced against Inter Miami and are giving the chances to potentially get a result against Inter Miami and don't take it. Because we've seen this so many times this season where Miami is a team that is going to give you chances and is going to be a team that at times could be vulnerable at the back. And I thought this was a classic example of it. But for New England, they just weren't being clinical in this one. And as a result, they end up on the losing side, as we've seen so many times before when teams are not being clinical when they face against the likes of Inter Miami. Now, in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Rodriguez puts it wide from long range. Miami was definitely on the front foot as they were pushing for the opener. Polster would put it wide on the doorstep of goal as the flag went up before Rodriguez puts it wide from close. The shots were two apiece early in this one. The Revs, they definitely were doing what every MLS team tends to do when they face against Inter Miami. They're going to sit deep. They're going to respect Inter Miami and give them the possession and maybe trying to hit on the counter attack because we know that Inter Miami has that vulnerability whenever teams try and hit them on the transition. Alba would put it high from long range in the 18th minute before Yusuf would hit it right to Ustari. Both of these teams would start to exchange some chances and looking for the opener goal. Langoni tried to do so, but he puts it wide after a lightning counterattack from the Ravs. And this is when I immediately wrote, yeah, will that chance come back to haunt New England? Because that was a great A chance for Lucas Langoni, and especially coming off a game where he finally scored a goal. You would expect that the confidence is definitely there, but yeah, you just kind of had a sense that was going to come back to New England, missing chances against this clinical Miami side because before I even had a chance to finish writing that, Miami would take the lead as the GOAT himself, Lionel Messi, would score to make it 1-0 in favor of Inter Miami. And yeah, I mean, we know how good Messi is not only in with Miami but throughout his career. So the last thing you need to do is just give him a go. I mean, this was just an absolute gift here. Beeson with a backwards header there that goes right to Messi, and yeah, I mean, as a Quakes fan, I did warn you, New England fans, in terms of the problem that Tanner Beeson provided, and I'm glad to see that nothing has really changed during his time with New England, and that yeah, I mean that's just an absolute gift. You cannot do that when you're facing against the goal. He's gonna punish you every single time. So just like that, Miami were leading 1-0. Just 3 minutes later, he looked to try to get another, but he puts it wide in the 31st minute. But then he did get another in the 38th minute. In fact, he made history with this goal too, as he scored from Busquets to make it 2-0 in favor of Inter Miami. He became the first ever MLS player to have a multi-goal game in 4 straight MLS games. So just the latest chapter of greatness that the GOAT himself has shown, and the amount of records that he already owned during his short time with Inter Miami. Campana did look to answer, but he was denied by Ustari. And then he puts it into the side netting, which actually fooled some fans in the stadium. Some fans thought that of course went in. I mean, obviously, when you look at it in certain angle, it definitely did look like that one went in, but it hits the side netting. Campana, I thought he had an okay game in this one. I thought he would be more motivated coming into this one, especially facing against his former team and a team that, yeah, kind of he was the another classic example of players that kind of got phased out with this Inter Miami team because of all the superstar player that this team has had, and I thought he would be really up for this one, but he had an okay game. This game he had a couple of chances, but wasn't taken. But we do head to halftime with Inter Miami leading 2-0. In the second half, Heel would puts it way high from long range before Ivicic denied Alande, but then it falls right to Suarez, and he had a chance to hit that one in, but it was clear off the line in the 52nd minute. Heel would then puts it wide from long range as New England continued to getting some chances, but like many times we've seen this season when teams are not taking advantage of it, it's the reason why they're still trailing it in this one. They could have easily make this a game itself, and that theme kind of continue for the rest of the second half because Ustari would then deny Campana, but it falls right into Thomas Shankalai. he had empty net to shoot, and he absolutely missed that one. I mean, I know Sean Kalai, he's still are on the road in terms of trying to get himself back to where he was before this torn ACL injury, but deep down he's got to finish that one. Like that's an empty net there. You would absolutely see him finish that 9 out of 10 times, and I mean, well, that moment just kind of sums up New England night, and I just kind of had sense, yeah, they're not coming back from this one with all the wasteful chance that they have. Diaz was then in on goal there, but this is Luis Diaz, so he's not gonna score this. But it was tipped over by Ustari. Keel would then hits it right to Ustari in the 76th minute, but then in the 80th minute, New England finally got a goal back as Carlos Gil. I mean, if nobody can do it, why not the captain? Does it? He scored here to make it 2-1 in favor of Miami. And you just kind of had a sense it's been coming. New England putting so much pressure, finally showing their clinical finishing. Now can they come complete the comeback? Well, before that, Suarez did look to respond to restore the 2-goal lead, but he missed wide, and then Messi looked for his hat trick again, but it was blocked away. Miami definitely were looking to try to seal this one late, but then in the 5th minute stoppage time, Ruti had a big chance here, but he hits it right to Astari. So again, another game where we see a team face against Miami, giving the chances to get some points and definitely had multiple opportunities to get themselves level turn or even get themselves the win in this one. And it's not taken. As in the end, Inter Miami gets another win in this one. The shots in this one, New England actually outshot Miami in this one. 16 shots for the 13 that Miami has. They also outshot them on shots on goal. 6 shots on goal for the 3 that Miami has. 4 shots off target for the 7 that New England has. 3 shots on block for the 5 that Miami has. And possession-wise, 45% possession compared to 55% possession that Miami has. And normally when you see a bad team when they face against Miami, you might think that there might be some moral victory. The fact that they really go toe to toe with this team, and some New England fans might think that that is the case because they were expected to get absolutely slaughtered coming into this one. But at the same time, the other thing that's kind of going to be very frustrating if you're a Rams fan, and this is kind of the case. We've seen so many teams this season when you're given the chances to score, and especially Miami is going to give you the chances, and you don't take advantage of it. I think that's even more frustrating to see them on the losing end because you had this game, you had a chance to get something, and you didn't take it, and as a result, it's 0 points again for this New England team. They are on a downward turn right now, and back to kind of where we saw in the beginning of the season, where they just simply cannot get wins, and not to mention cannot score goals as well. The goal wells has definitely dried up if it hasn't already been before. Now, moving on into the second game of the doubleheader that we saw in the midweek action is LAFC versus the Colorado Rapids. And, this was kind of a predictable result. I mean, you just had a feeling LAFC was going to win this. Colorado, BMO Stadium has just been a house of horror for them. Now, I think they mentioned they have never won at BMO Stadium before, and that's going to have to wait. Though, I will say this. It doesn't help the fact that this game was pretty much over after 5 minutes because, yeah, I think Rapids fan, they definitely have a right to be angry. The fact that the red card that happened in the 5th minute probably shouldn't have been a red because here we have Jackson Travis, of course, getting a red card here. Apparently, they said that his challenge on Palacio is worthy of a red, but I mean that is a very harsh red, especially at that moment of the game, just 5 minutes into this one. I think that should be at least downgrade to yellow, or even go to VAR to check at it. Because when you saw how Travis was trying to, yes, his arms did kind of caught Palacio there, but I don't think it was intentional. And not to mention, he was also looking for the ball, looking at the ball as well. It was just both players kind of go for the ball. It's just unfortunate that one of the player kind of had his arms kind of outstretched and caught the one of the players in the face there. But again, there was no ill intention in terms of that. I think that was a very harsh red card, and especially we know that the Rapids were gonna be up against it in this one. Well, now it seems like they're gonna be pretty much even more up against it. The fact that LAFC were up, man, for not only the rest of the game but for 85 minutes in this one. The first shot of the game did see Ordaz hits it right to Hansen before he puts it wide from close range with a man up for 85 minutes. LAFC was definitely dictating the game and trying to press for the opener, and they were also going to be patient to do so because you're up a man for 85 minutes. You're going to take your time knowing the Rapids are just going to kind of bunker in for the rest of the game, being down a man and especially down a defender as well. Delgado would miss wide from close before Long would miss wide from long range. The shots were 5-0 for LAFC 23 minutes in. Bawanga would then puts it wide from long range. LAFC was definitely ramping up the pressure, trying to get themselves the opener, and they have a chance to do so in the 40th minute as a penalty was given to LAFC after Bawanga was brought down by Harris in the box. So here comes Bawanga, a chance to score from the penalty spot. He did struggle in the Club World Cup, and especially I'm pretty sure that missed penalty that he had against Esperante is still kind of fresh in his mind. But this time he raised the penalty to give LAFC a 1-0 lead, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. In the second half, LAFC waited no time to make it 2-0 as Nathan Ordaz to make it 2-0 here. Hansen actually made a great save here, but unfortunately just kind of fall right into the path of Ordaz in the right place, right time to clean up the mess. Wazium did look to answer, but he heads this one wide before Bawanga puts it wide from close range. And then Ordaz almost had a chance to score his second, but the post got in the way. It was basically a training session up to this point. I didn't really want put too much notes and really kind of keep an eye on this game that much because I knew this was over. The Rapids were not coming back from this one. DeRozan would miss wide from close in the 57th minute, but then just 2 minutes later, he would score his first career MLS goal as he scored from Tillman and Bawanga to make it 3-0 in favor of LAFC. Just champagne soccer from LAFC, just completely cut that Rapids D at will. And yeah, at the hour mark, it was 3-0. Pretty much, I kind of not really paid too much attention after that because, like I said, if it wasn't over before, it is pretty much over. Harris would then hits a one hopper right to Lariz before Martinez almost had a chance to make it 4-0, but he hits the post here. And yeah, for David Martinez, he has been statement lately. I mean, it just feels like he has gone for a really long goal draw. He just cannot buy a goal for himself and for to try and score for LAFC. But as I also said, the Rapids feels like they just checked out both on the attack and the defense. I mean, that was just an awful turn over there from the Rapids. Very fortunate that it wasn't 4-0. And yeah, in the end, LAFC gets the 3-0 win against the Rapids. The shots in this one, 22 shots compared to 6 that the Rapids had. 2 shots on goal for the 5 that LAFC had. 7 shots off target for the 1 that Colorado has. 2 shots as blocked for the 7 that LAFC had. And possession-wise, 70% possession compared to 30% possession that the Rapids has in this game. Easily one of the most predictable resort of the season. And again, I understand Colorado fans have every right to be mad about the red card that happened in the 5th minute, but overall, I mean, they were always going to be up against it in this one. This is a place that they just have no success whatsoever, and that red card just absolutely killed the chance. I probably don't even need to watch the rest of the game after the red card, and we'll probably find out that LAFC would have won this one because it was just so predictable that of course was going to be the case. With that being said, let me now just switch the boards because we are now going to do the news of the week episode. Because, like I said, doing a 2-for-1 here since there's really only 2 games for me to talk about. I only spent 13 minutes talking about the 2 games. So let's us now do the news of the week episode, looking at some of the news that has happened in the past week. In fact, probably might have to stop the video bit because it's a little bit blurry right now. So yeah, let me just stop the recording and come back in just a bit. All right, much better in terms of the quality. You can now see the text; it's not blurry anymore. So yeah, news of the week for this past week on this Thursday early evening. So as I mentioned before, we did see a head coach that got fired today, and another head coach that ends up on the chopping block. And this one is no surprise. I think everyone kind of saw this coming, and that of course is DC United have fired Troy Lesesne after 1.5 season. In fact, I'm kind of surprised the fact that it didn't happen earlier. I feel like this was way overdue, especially I thought he would have probably been fired when DC lost 7-1 to Chicago early this season, but apparently the 5-2 loss in the US Open Cup, that was kind of the final straw. I mean, that was really kind of the last chance for DC to maybe get themselves some silverware. They were trying to do something similar to what we saw in 2013, where remember when DC finished dead last that season under Bet Olsen, and somehow they still won a trophy because they put all their eggs in one basket in terms of that competition. But now they're out of that competition and pretty much out of that in a pretty embarrassing way against a top tier Nashville side. I'm pretty sure DC, the front office kind of had no choice, but yeah, they're gonna have to let go of Troy Lesesne. Now there is actually a report that they're gonna immediately name for his replacement, and that's kind of insane. The fact that they've already have a name lined up for his replacement, because usually we see an interim head coach there. Maybe DC will get that new interim head coach boost for a bit before maybe they'll think about getting a head coach, or maybe wait until next season. But no, they're gonna already think about naming it straight away, and his possible replacement is Rene Verler as their next head coach. Now, from what I heard, he's a guy that coach in the Swiss league as well. I mean, not really a lot of coach that comes from the Swiss league has had a lot of success coming in to MLS, and especially when you hire a foreign head coach, especially a foreign European head coach, it can be hit and miss there. But again, I think if you're a DC fan, I mean, this is not a big surprise in terms of the fact that, again, I think for DC, this is the same problem that I would say that this team has in terms of what Montreal is having right now, and in some extent, what I said about Colorado as well before. Somehow, in some way, Chris Armas absolutely turned things around with that franchise and actually look decent. And that, of course, is that it doesn't matter what kind of coach change that they have. It doesn't matter if they're just going to recycle go head coach and just kind of go for a revolving door, as we have seen this DC team has gone for recent year ever since the firing of Ben Olsen. It just feels like the real issue of this team is the front office in terms of the ownership group. I mean, I talked about before in terms of some of the worst ownership group. In fact, I might even do a ranking video looking at the best ownership group or the worst ownership group in MLS in the near future. But DC is going to be right up there in terms of the bottom, in terms of the worst ownership group. I think fans are fed up with this ownership group. Fans are absolutely fed up with the front office as well. I mean, they kind of been fed up with the front office ever since after letting go of Ben Olsen, after spending so long to look for the replacement, they settled for Hernan Lasada. And while Lasada definitely brought some entertaining soccer for that DC team for a bit, yeah, it didn't quite work out whatsoever. And as I said, ever since it's just been a revolving door right now for this DC side, and it gets to a point where I talked about many times before. When you have a situation where you are in a club where it's a revolving door of head coaches, and it feels like you're just kind of stuck in mediocrity for the past couple of years to a point where it's not just mediocre, but just near the basement for year after year. I don't think it's really the head coaches and the players that are the only reason why this team is bad. I think you got to look deeper into the front office and also the ownership group. It just basically there needs to be a clean house for this DC team to get themselves back to glory. It is sad to see how things have fall apart for this proud franchise. I mean, the a team that just have so much history that will always remember as the team that has the first ever dynasty in this league history, and to see how much they have fallen off ever since that, it is really sad to see. I mean, we've seen some legacy teams that have kind of fall off in tough time. We've seen with the Chicago Fire and even the San Jose Earthquakes as well. But DC United is the latest to that list of a proud franchise and a winning franchise that we see in the early days in MLS. But they just never adjust to the new era of MLS and the fact that they also have one of the worst ownership group in the league, and an ownership group that doesn't really care about winning and doesn't really want to spend the money and get the resources to get themselves competitive, is kind of the reason where DC is in it right now. It's a absolutely frustrating cycle. It's a vicious cycle that it's hard to change. And like I said, the only way you can change that is maybe hire Bruce Arena back to this team. I mean, apparently Bruce Arena, I think, is the only guy that I can think of that can really turn the around, because he always does that when he is coaching a team that is not doing very well. But besides that, I don't think anyone's going to do it. I don't think Rene Valier is going to be successful, because when you take the DC job, it's a definition of taking a job that you're going to be set up to fail. I mean, I think Troy Lesesne, while he has his flaw, he was set up to fail with the way that there's no real backing, and there's no real quality that he's been given with this team. I mean, it's no surprise why Troy Lesesne did not do well whatsoever with this team. His ideas just never work with this team because he just doesn't have the players to play that pressing system that he likes to do. Even going back to coaching with the New York Red Bulls. Now, speaking of the New York Red Bulls, so their game against the Philadelphia Union is going to be postponed until August 13th in the U.S. Open Cup quarterfinals. So the semifinal matchup technically is not set. I mean, in terms of the West region, yes, it is set. It's going to be Minnesota versus Austin. But in the East, Nashville, we're gonna have to wait to see whether if it's gonna be the Red Bulls or the Union that's gonna be playing in the semifinal. Either way, I think the matchup in the East is gonna be very fascinating to see. I mean, the West could be fascinating to see as well, though. I mean, I might be biased because I'm a Loons fan, but I do have confidence that they can beat Austin, especially, I went to that game between the Quakes and Austin, and yeah, let's just say that there were definitely some controversial call that I'm gonna not really go too much in terms of pointing out, but I'll definitely mention that one of the controversial call later in this News of the Week episode that I was not happy be about, and that yeah, Austin got probably very fortunate in that game as well. No, not to mention giving two penalty in that one, just kind of kept in it and eventually winning a PK show. Just a very ugly way to win the game, and now they're facing against a Minnesota team that when you look at who's the favorites in terms of the U.S. Open Cup, I still think Nashville is probably the favorites, consider how hot they've been. But Minnesota is not that far behind. I wouldn't be surprised we might see a Minnesota versus Nashville final. And if that's the case, I'm gonna make every effort to try to go to Allianz to attend that one because that is easily the biggest game in Minnesota United history if it gets to that point. But still, we'll see how this matchup between the Red Bulls and the Union is gonna happen. I mean, I'm pretty sure Red Bulls fan would absolutely want to win this one because the Union has pretty much owned the Red Bulls recently, and especially in knockout tournament, I'm pretty sure there's been plenty of pain that the Red Bulls have suffered when they face against the Philadelphia Union, especially in the playoffs. And unfortunately, in that matchup, we won't see that until next month as well. I mean, for those that wonder why couldn't they just do it next week? Well, we have midweek action next week, and we have a lot of games that's going to happen. And then we also have Leeds Cup as well to balance. So yeah, that's why they couldn't just simply do it next week, and that they have to really push back the schedule. That's the problem when you have like a congested season like MLS is having right now. I mean, it's just there's not really a lot of room in terms of trying to reschedule a postponed game. I still don't know when are they even gonna reschedule the Austin versus LAFC postponed game that is. Now, moving on to talk about some of the signings. So, Inter Miami is in advanced talk to sign Rodrigo De Paul. Now, this is a signing that I don't know if it's going to be done this summer because somehow Inter Miami has to go under the free DP limit because if they do sign Rodrigo De Paul, it's going to be a designated player signing, but obviously they can't do a 4 DP signing, or if they're going to just do the Christian Pavone kind of loophole, maybe sign Rodrigo De Paul on loan and maybe give him a max 10, or maybe even give somebody else a max 10, maybe give Luis Suarez a max 10, knowing that this is pretty much his final season with Inter Miami. I don't know. I mean, this is going to be something that Inter Miami is going to have to figure out. It is getting very close that they are going to sign him, and this is not a big surprise. I'm pretty sure Inter Miami is trying to find any former Argentine or Barcelona player that is going to join this team, and any guys that Messi wants to be part of this project. Rodrigo De Paul is definitely one of those guys that I think Messi likes to bring in this project. So yeah, most likely this will happen. But again, how will they make this happen in terms of the roster group? I don't know. They're gonna have to do some wiggle room there, and they're all obviously gonna upset the casual, or not the casual, but just the general public of the MLS fandom, where there's already going to be a lot of people that hate what Inter Miami is doing when it comes to really stretching the roster rule, kind of cutting corners, and now it feels like it might be even more extreme after this as well. Now, speaking of DP, the Columbus Crew is looking to acquire Wasim Abu Ali from Al Ahly as a designated player. And, it's kind of interesting that I don't see more MLS team watching the Club World Cup and maybe trying to get some of these player as a designated player. I mean, Columbus is definitely one of these teams that's probably watched the Club World Cup. And, Abu Ali, he definitely did well with Al Ahly. He actually scored 3 goals during the group stage as well. And knowing that Columbus desperately need a number 9 and desperately are looking for a Cucho Hernandez replacement, we'll see whether or not if this is the right guy to do so. Now, there is one big controversy when it comes to surrounding this signing, and I'm not going to go too deep into this because it could get very quickly into a political standpoint. He is a Palestinian international. So yeah, if you know anything about that, yeah, you know where the controversy could come if he does sign with him. But other than that, I think it could be a good signing. And again, this is a crew team that throughout the summer they're going to go striker hunting. They're going to look for a number 9. They need a replacement for Cucho Hernandez. Ever since he left, and if they can find the right replacement to do so, watch out. This is a team that is going to to be considered to be one of the favorites, if not the favorites, in the Eastern Conference. That is. Now, Celta Vigo is looking to sign Diego Luna from RSL. So after just a breakout Gold Cup campaign that Diego Luna has with the U.S. men's national team, it's no surprise that a lot of European interest is looking to try and get him. Now, I'm surprised that he decided to maybe go to La Liga itself, because usually when we see U.S. Phenom player, they usually go to the Bundesliga or even the Eredivisie to develop, because those are the league that tends to do well when it comes to developing young American talent. But we'll we'll see whether or not if this move will complete. And again, this is not a big surprise. Diego Luna was eventually going to be sold off. I mean, it would be suck for RSL because he's like literally the linchpin of the team, and if they do lose him, yeah, I mean their season is pretty much going to the dumpster. And I mean, it's not like their season isn't in the dumpster and already. They're not doing very well, and are kind of borderline getting to a point where they're probably done this season. So they'll probably just do whatever they need to sell off their big best asset, and maybe go for a rebuild as the season continue and heading into next season as well. Now, speaking of U.S. men's national team players, so Patrick Ajiman, who, yeah, let's just say he kind of had a bit of a stinker doing this Gold Cup campaign, especially in the final itself. Well, it doesn't really matter, because it seems like he's still going to get a big money move to Europe, as Derby County is looking to try to get Patrick Ajiman, and apparently Charlotte is close to selling him to Derby County for $8 million plus $2 million add-on plus some sell on clause as well. Now I don't know who exactly did Derby County realize what Patrick Ajiman does, or probably they watched the highlights of him maybe last season when he was actually decent. But there is no way in the world after the Gold Cup campaign that Patrick Achiman had, and especially this season as well. He hasn't really done very well this season for Charlotte as well. That you would offer him $10 million as a result. This feels like highway robbery at its best. And as much as I know Charlotte fans would hate to see one of their fan favorite leave as well. I mean, when you are giving $10 million, and especially you're giving a 8-digit mark for a guy that has been kind of struggling so far this season, you would absolutely take it in a heartbeat. That is the injection of cash that they needed to make some signing and replacement as well. So I have no doubt that Charlotte would absolutely accept this deal. I mean, in fact, they probably shocked the fact that they received this deal. This deal feels way too good to be true. But I guess maybe that's the kind of the reason when you're dealing with English team, because English teams tends to inflate the price a little bit. And as I said, $10 million in total and some sell on fee. That is too good of an offer for Charlotte to pass on. Now, the New York Red Bulls, they're actually still in active talk to sign former RB Leipzig striker Timo Werner. Now, the thing about Timo Werner is that he is a guy that, is known for his speed as well, but when it comes to his finishing, yeah, not great whatsoever. So that kind of reminds me that he's kind of like another Dante Vance here. And this is really strange, the fact that the Red Bulls are looking to try to get Timo Werner, because don't they already have Choupo-Moting right now? And I know Choupo-Moting has been having an okay season so far with the Red Bulls. Well, actually, that's a little harsh. I think he's actually done pretty well with the Red Bulls so far. But do they really need to sign another number nine? And the fact that, again, I understand the Red Bulls connection. That is, the Red Bulls have signed their numerous players from RB Leipzig or RB Salzburg as well as part of that ownership group. But still, I mean, for Timo Werner, again, they were hoping that they were gonna get like another Emo Forsberg kind of signing. I think they're gonna be very disappointed if that is the case. But who knows? Maybe Timo Werner will prove us wrong. Maybe he'll find his clinical goal finishing that's kind of been missing. Again, he's a guy that can get you in good spot and can definitely show off his speed to blow by the defender. But his finishing is kind of the reason why his career has kind of gone down the drain. And that, again, it just feels like this is another Dante Vanzier situation all over again. And do Red Bulls fans want another Dante Vanzier type of player? I don't think they want to. Now, moving on, we did have one signing that was completed, and that, of course, is Cincinnati signing Venezuelan number 9 and attacker and in Chike. Now, I have no idea who exactly this guy is, other than the fact that I guess this is probably a backup option for Kevin Denke as well, and it's not a bad backup option. I mean, as much as Kai Kamara is a legendary player, I don't think he would be a backup option that you run a heavily rely on, especially with the age that he is in right now. So this is no surprise that they might be looking for some backup option and maybe for some depth. And I will never complain when teams are looking to try to get depth in terms of the transfer window. Now, moving on in terms of the next couple of news, and unfortunately, these next couple of news are kind of the bad news bear part of the news of the week episode, because now we have to talk about season-ending injury, and unfortunately, for both Brandon Vasquez and Joao Paulo, they suffer the A injury, and for Brandon Vasquez, he suffered the A injury in the game against the Quakes in the U.S. Open Cup quarterfinal, and I had a feeling that was the case. Like when I saw how he went off, especially with a non-contact injury. I immediately knew that, oh boy, this not only could be a serious injury, but it could be the A injury that every players and coaches and even fans dreaded when their players suffer, because it's pretty much a season ender, and indeed that of course is the case, and it's such a shame too. I mean, I know Brandon Vasquez has had a really rough season with Austin this year, but he's still trying hard to break out of it. He's trying to find his old form that he has with Cincinnati, and this is just a latest setback with him suffering a torn ACL. And the same goes for Joao Paulo as well. And the sad thing about Joao Paulo is the fact that, yeah, it seems like his legendary career with the Seattle Sounders is going to end in a bit of a whimper, because, this is his last year of his contract. I don't think they're going to re sign him for the very next season as well. And, obviously, Sounders fan will always thank what Joao Paulo does and what he meant to the club in terms of some of those legendary seasons the Sounders had in the past couple of years, especially when they won that CONCACAF Champions League as well. He was a big part of that team as well. But yeah, it's sad to see that he torn his ACL, but it's even more sadder the fact that this might be the last time we see him wear the Rave Green, and that, yeah, he kind of ended his career with the Sounders on a bit of a whimper as well. Now, Christian Espinoza, he had to have 10 stitches above his right knee after he suffered an ugly, ugly gash on that challenge that Dester, of course, put. And this is, of course, where I go back to what I said about my frustration in the game that the Quakes has, where, yeah, the referee decision, it was not great. It feels like there are a lot of calls were going against the Quakes. Some of them, of course, were fair, but some of them, I think that it was kind of egregious, but this one was probably the most egregious one. I mean, this I do not know how this is not a red card. Like I understand that Dessler didn't mean it when he tried to make that challenge, but anytime when you try to high boot someone, and especially that when the studs are clearly showing in this case, that's a red card. I mean, that is a definition of a red card, and the fact that they didn't even do think the ref didn't think about it, or even go to VAR itself. I mean, I think the referee forgot that VAR exists in the quarterfinal. I know the U.S. Open Cup we didn't have VAR until the quarterfinal, but I mean, it was there. I mean, there's a chance that they could have just gone to it and see that, because yeah, if the right call was being made, I mean, I'm not gonna say that the Quakes wouldn't blow that lead. I mean, I didn't think the Quakes play well against Austin either, and especially that game that they play against Austin just kind of sums up the Quakes season and my frustration with the Quakes this year. They're a team that we know that they can be very good on the attacking end and they can score goals, but they're also not a clinical side. More times or not, they're not clinical whatsoever. And then on the defensive part, yeah, they're still a very very weak defensive team. So yeah, I mean, just overall very frustrating to see how the Quakes blew that game in a game that they pretty much had that one. But it also doesn't help the fact that it was. I mean, I don't want to say the referee was one of the big reason why they lost this game, but I would say that was kind of one of the reason, and that, yeah, some of the calls that went against the Quakes, especially the one on Christian Espinoza, and now we don't know how long he's going to be out because of that. That just adds an insult to injury and just add to the salt to the wounds in terms of that loss that the Quake suffer in the hands of Austin. And then further bad news that we've seen is Garth Lagerwey. Looks like he's going to be taking a leave of absence after diagnosed with cancer. And all I'll say for Garth Lagerwey is that I definitely wish him a speedy recovery, and also wish him well in terms of the battle for cancer. You know, you always hate when you see someone suffer cancer here, and that you definitely hope that they can beat this battle. And yeah, Garth Lagerwey, what he's done in MLS. I know Atlanta fans have been very frustrated with him lately because of the decision that he made, but seeing this, this is more than just what has gone on this season. This is bigger than soccer in general, and yeah, very sad to see a legend like that suffer going through cancer, and let's just hope he can battle on and beat whatever the cancer that of course he got diagnosed with. And then also, as I already mentioned before throughout this week, I mentioned it in my review video, and I also mentioned it when I was down in Austin as well. I send my condolences and my thoughts and prayers in terms of what's going on in Central Texas. I mean, when I was down there, you know, it was no joke when it comes to how bad it was raining there. And that in some way I was kind of a little bit crazy. Decided to still go to Austin, despite the fact that I've seen a lot of red flags in terms of don't go to the Central Texas, especially don't go to Austin right now because of what's going on with the flood. The good news is, you know, the hotel that I was staying in North Austin, there wasn't really any floods whatsoever, and the person at the front desk even said that, you know, the Austin isn't really hit that bad when it comes to the 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 flash flood that's going on in Central Texas. It's just the area around Austin, like the outer area around Austin, that is really the hammer, and especially the rural area around the Austin area is very impacted by that. And again, as I said before, it is the right decision for them to postpone that game between Austin and LAFC. As much as it sucks for me to not be able to go to it, again, with all the situation that's gone on, there was no way that they were gonna play that game. But in solitude of that, we see the Free Texas team, Dallas, Houston, and Austin have pledged 500,000 K to help relief and recovery effort. We also saw the Texas Ranger and the Houston Astros the same thing. I believe other Texas sports team has also done that as well. And like I said, just very sad to see what's going on in Central Texas. And if you're of course living there, I hope you're doing well, and I hope you will you will get through this tough time, because again, you know, the death toll is still rising. Seeing right now, when I last left, I still heard that it was still raining in some region, and yeah, like I said, very devastating to see, and hope everyone the best. If you're living in that region, and also send my condolences and thoughts and prayers to the people that is suffering those flood situation in Central Texas. And then now moving on to a little more positive news. So Giorgio Chiellini has joined the LAFC ownership group. So in last night's game, he was also part of the broadcast as well. Normally, I don't like when we have like a guest joining the broadcast and doing the game. I feel like it's kind of a distraction, but I didn't mind the fact that Chiellini joined in, especially of how much he mean to the LAFC fan base, and not a big surprise that he decided to also join the ownership group as well. And then it is now confirmed that the New York Cosmos will be revived as the USL League One expansion side coming out of New Jersey. So that team out of North Jersey, I believe they're gonna use the not only use the Cosmo name, but they're still gonna call themselves the New York Cosmo, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, if that is the case, they'll still use the name itself. It's kind of weird that they decided to call themselves the New York Cosmo, even though they're playing out of North Jersey. But then again, I guess you can also say the same thing about the New York Red Bulls, with them playing in northern New Jersey and playing in Harrison, New Jersey as well. But yeah, great to see a legendary team like that gets revived. I might even think about attending a game in the future as well, because the New York Cosmo, that name, it will always be an iconic name, not just for American soccer culture, but in world soccer as well. I mean, that name will always be associated with the likes of Pele and Beckenbauer being in that team, and really kind of is the team that really just kind of steered the pioneer near of what American soccer landscape it is. Without that kind of moment, I don't think we would see the likes of Messi or even David Beckham be in this league, or MLS being where they are right now as well. And then lastly, the Gold Cup final netted 3.73 million in average, and it actually peaked 5.2 million in terms of the audience as well, which is a record for the Gold Cup. Not a big surprise. I mean, anytime when you have a U.S. versus Mexico final, you know that it's going to draw a lot of audience. But I think what also kind of helps in terms of the large audience is the fact that this game was played in a pretty good window. One of the biggest problem with previous Gold Cup is that some of these previous Gold Cup were playing in such a late windows that is just absolutely ridiculous. And that in the West Coast or in the East Coast, you're not gonna be happy to stay up like till 9 or 10 p.m. to watch some of these games. But because this was at a 7 o'clock Eastern time kickoff and a 4 p.m. Pacific kickoff, that's a perfect time on a Sunday where it's still not too late in the East Coast. You can still watch the game. The game probably might end around 9 or even 9:30. It goes to extra time, and that's still in a pretty good window, pretty much in a prime time window for Sunday, where not a big surprise to see the ratings being very high up. And another great example that for those that thought that the Gold Cup was kind of meaningless after this year, and especially with the Club World Cup kind of taking the shine as well. I mean, don't look at the ratings and have that thoughts, because the ratings are better than ever before. It can definitely see that this competition is still very serious, and especially when I went to the Gold Cup final myself, I had some fun times going to that one. Yes, it was a shame the fact that the U.S. did lose that one, but the atmosphere was absolutely electric. The Mexican fans definitely showed up in groves in that one, and they provide just such an electric atmosphere that I will never forget in many years down the line. There you have it. That is pretty much it for the news of the week episode, and also my review of the two games that happened in terms of the midweek action. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this video, and if there's any news I didn't mention here on the board, let me know in the comments below, and also your reaction in terms of the two midweek games that happened yesterday. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.